morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. This is about Casanova from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome and internationale podcast, Good Wine and Great Laughs, the podcast for wine lovers, summer movies, reviews, and hot topic discussions. Ladies and gents, I'm your boy Casanova. If you're new to my YouTube channel, welcome to Casanova. What I do here every Saturday, I have a wine of the day followed by the topic of the day. So normally during the month of January to May, I have the hot topics for discussion. And between June and July, I have summer movies reviews, meaning movies that are just coming out in the movie theaters or any movies platforms such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all the shows, TVs, movie theaters, whatever is coming between those 2 months. The summertime movies, I will do a review about it, and after between August to December, I'm gonna go back to the hot topics discussion, ladies and gents. So if you love wine, if you love movies, summer movies reviews and hot topic discussions, this YouTube channel is for you. If you like the work that I do, ladies and gents, all I ask from you is please click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, and share with at least 5 people that you know. All right, forget the haters, because on the last episode, I have some Trump supporters, some MAGA people that did not like what I said. Did not like the video, but well, they're still in the illusion of worship their own God, their own dictator. So forget about them. Don't have time for the nonsense. All right, ladies and so today is Saturday, August 16th, 2025, and the weather here in Orlando will be mostly sunny during the day with some scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. Highs of 94 and lows of 76, ladies and gents. And today is season 11, episode 3. And the topic of the day is going to be, how will Trump tariffs affect you? That's the question of the day. I'd like to give credit to CBS News Today and the BLOOMBERG television, ladies and gents. But before I start jump on the topic of the day, I have to talk about the wine of the day, ladies and gents. And this is going for the ladies that are on the journey of enjoy wine. Most of females that I know, that I heard of it, when they start drinking wine, the first thing they want to do, they want some sweet wine. And the first wine that they're going to jump on it is the Moscato. So I have one of my favorite brands called Papi. You can see right here, ladies and gents, is a pink Moscato. A picture of this wine is going to be available on all my social medias. And also I have my Papi collection here in the house. I have that I talked before. This is the Pinot Grigio that is made in Italy, right here. And then I have the reds. I have the Malbec. Right there, that's the first Papi that I drank in my life. I believe that was 2019 or 2020. And then followed by the Cab right here. And ladies and gents, this is my favorite Cab. It's very, very good. It's not rich in tannins and have a very, very delicious hint of sweetness at the end of a palate. Ladies and gents, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Cabernet Sauvignon. To me, as far as the wine in my budget that I have tried, this is my favorite cab in the market, ladies and gents. And finally, I have the Merlot. That's right here. So I have what's called the Papi collection, and I heard about that some more there in the market as far as Papi is concerned that I have not tried. And if I found those wine, ladies and gents, I'll definitely bring to you on this YouTube channel. All right, so let's talk about this wine right here. It says right here is a product of Chile, because the only wine that I know from Papi that's made in Italy is the Pinot Grigio. The rest are made in Chile. So it says here is a deliciously sweet, and alcohol percent of this wine is the Pink Moscato is 12%. And says right here, Papi's portfolio of wines specialized in classic, young, and varietous style wines. Only select hand-picked grapes and a careful winemaking process allow us to present this new best wine. Discover the Papi difference. Once again, alcohol percent 12%, ladies and gents, a product of Chile. So, let's see what's this Pink Moscato it is all about. Right here. Let me use my decanter. I'm surprised that this is a 12% alcohol because normally Moscato varies between 5 to 9% alcohol as far as the Moscato that I tried. Right here. So we are about to see what this Moscato is all about. It's Pink Moscato, ladies and gents. Very, very light. It's a very light pink. Okay, I like the bouquet of it. You can smell a hint of sweetness on this wine. All right, ladies and gents, just like the Greek wine that I had last Saturday, and I will agree with the bottle when it states is deliciously sweet. It's not too sweet, in my personal opinion. That's a very good hint of sweetness, of course, but also it is a delicious wine. I'm very surprised. I'll give a 10 for this Pink Moscato. So ladies, if you look for a nice Moscato to drink, I advise you to look at my social medias, look at the picture of this wine. You can take a copy, whatever you want to do. Take to a favorite wine store and see if they have it. Trust and believe me, you will love it. And if you do that, do me a favor, come back to this YouTube channel, make a comment right here and let me know how much you like the Papi Pink Moscato. All right, ladies and gents. All right, I got some potato wedges, nice and warm right here. I have some cheese curds while I'm drinking this wine and I'll be eating this delicious thing right here. Let's watch these videos, these three, and at the end, like I always do, I give my 2 cents about what I think about today's topic. So, it is showtime.
Tonight, and we begin with President Trump reshaping the global economic landscape. The president's blanket tariffs on U.S. trading partners are now in effect, and that means American businesses will have to pay more to bring in foreign goods. The baseline tariff is 10%. However, imports from America's largest trading partners are taxed higher. For example, Canadian goods, they're facing a 35% tariff, while Japanese imports are at 15%. Some of those numbers were reached through negotiations, and others, including that steep 50% tariff on Indian goods, were decided unilaterally by the White House. The president wrote on Truth Social this morning, tariffs are flowing into the USA at levels not thought even possible. However, this is not the end of the story. The U.S. is giving Mexico an extra 3 months to hammer out a final deal. Mexico had the largest share of U.S. imports in 2024. And the Trump administration is also working on an agreement with China. You may remember earlier this year, the U.S. put 145% tariffs on Chinese imports. China hit back with 125% tariffs on American goods. The two sides agreed to lower those rates substantially, though, to work out a compromise. But the deadline to reach a deal on that is next Tuesday. And so far, that has not happened. Javier David joins us now. He's a CBS News contributor and business editor at the Dallas Morning News. Very good to see you, Javier. Thanks for being with us. How long could it take before we truly understand the impact of these tariffs and whether prices will go up?
Well, look, we kind of already are. The revised jobs data we got last week was kind of a real bucket of cold reality for a lot of market observers that really believe, that had lulled themselves into believing that things were sort of complacent. And it's clearly impacting the employment sector, mainly retail, where we've seen job cuts spike 250% from last year. And inflation isn't rising dramatically, but we're still mired above the Fed's preferred target rate of 22%, rather. So the word stagflation is sort of creeping back into the dialogue, mainly because growth is clearly slowing. Inflation isn't, high, but prices remain kind of stuck. And now we have to worry about the jobs market. And interestingly, there was a Bloomberg report today that noted the agriculture sector is in agony. Like the U.S. trade deficit hit a record high. The agriculture trade deficit hit a record high in the first half of the year. So there's all of this belief that at some point we can't keep defying gravity.
And Javier, I remember talking to retailers who started stockpiling as soon as the word tariff was even thrown out. How have businesses been preparing for these tariffs to take effect?
Yeah, look, businesses have been relying heavily on this domestic stockpiling effect, the front loading in the supply chain to sort of avoid importing goods to the U.S. And that in turn has helped keep prices low. In some cases, they've simply just eaten the higher costs, and that's just not sustainable. And the strains have begun to show, and there's no rest in particular for sort of the weary automaking sector. Japanese automakers like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, they all sell more cars in the U.S. than anywhere else. And so there's no end in sight, really, to the financial losses that they're sustaining, even after Japan and U.S. struck a trade deal just a couple of weeks ago. So the best thing, really, that companies can keep doing is continue to stockpile goods here in the U.S. But at some point, the ability to keep doing that will run out. Eventually, consumers, or companies rather, are going to be faced with this choice. How much of the higher costs are they willing to absorb or pass down to their consumers?
And it's not one size fits all. Given that some of these tariff rates were reached through diplomatic negotiations, does that make it easier for businesses to plan ahead?
No, it's just we sort of coalesced around this idea that 15% was likely the give or take going rate for most countries. But now that's been thrown into doubt. We're seeing a lot more strains with India and semiconductors. There's just, I call it the cover charge for the privilege of doing business with America, because really that's how the president clearly sees it.
Cover charge to a club that everyone apparently wants to get into sometimes. Javier David, thank you very much. We appreciate it. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes joins us now. And Nancy, thanks for being with us. We just heard Javier talk about all this. Are these tariff rates set in stone, or is the White House, you think, still open to negotiation?
No, White House officials have always said, and even the president has said, Nancy, that if a country comes to them with a new offer, if a country says, we're willing to remove X, Y, and Z trade barriers, if a country comes and says we want to invest X amount in the United States, that they are open to hearing what those trading partners have to say, and they're open to lowering tariff rates on those countries if they see fit. But it is early days, and we're just watching as these new tariffs take effect. And there is one big negotiation on the administration's plate right now, and that is China, because the U.S. gave the U.S.-China relationship 90 days, kind of a 90-day truce, if you will, to try to work out some kind of new trade agreement after those sky-high tariff rates, 145% on Chinese goods. They've brought those down in a kind of détente. They're only 30% right now, but the 90-day pause wears off next week. And so the conversation right now is about how close they actually are to a new deal, and whether that truce is going to get extended another 90 days. The Commerce Secretary says there's a good chance that'll happen.
And on another topic, Nancy, as there's plenty of speculation right now of a meeting between the two. President Trump was asked today about Russian President Vladimir Putin in the Oval Office. Let's take a look at that first.
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed.
So the Kremlin Kremlin is saying that President Trump will meet Putin in the coming days, as early as next week. What are we hearing about this meeting?
White House officials say the same thing, that they are working on this, that there is likely going to be a meeting between the president of the United States and Vladimir Putin and President Zelensky of Ukraine. They say it could happen as early as next week, but these are the kinds of things that typically take time to plan. The Secret Service has to go to wherever this summit would take place in advance to scope out the security. But it's surprising that suddenly this meeting is on the table, because you heard the president right there say he's disappointed in Putin. He told me yesterday Putin hasn't offered any new concessions. There hasn't been any kind of breakthrough. So it's sort of unclear why suddenly all three parties are willing to meet, and why the White House in particular wants to go ahead with a meeting without getting any assurances from Russia first that they are actually willing to make a good faith effort to reach a peace deal.
Definitely something to look out for. Nancy Cordes, thanks so much for being with us.
You got it.
From the produce aisle to meat, fish, and dairy. This morning, new transparency from some stores about how tariffs are impacting your grocery bill.
No one wants to talk about tariffs. Why are you talking about it? And are you worried it's going to hurt business?
What am I going to hide? You might as well just be honest and speak from the heart.
Stu Leonard Jr. runs a chain of popular grocery stores in the tri-state area. In a recent newsletter to customers, he openly addressed tariffs, saying he's committed to keeping prices the same by absorbing the existing 10% tariff on many imported foods.
Our importer said I'll split it with you.
You're absorbing the cost right now.
I'm absorbing the cost.
Will you continue to absorb the cost?
No, I won't. I can't afford to.
Starting tomorrow, new tariffs of 15 to 50% will take effect on many food imports, jacking up prices on produce from Central and South America, like bananas, pineapples, peppers, and cucumbers. And popular seafood from Indonesia and Vietnam now facing levies of up to 20%, double the previous rate. Higher tariffs also hitting imported coffee, olive oil, meat, and cheese.
The price went up on the Reggiano Parmesan, so I cut the wedges smaller. So they're only $10 each.
Also impacted, European spirits. With pre-tariff inventories running out, you may see price hikes on wine from France and Italy. If so, Leonard says consider buying American.
It's a lot less expensive. Will there be a shift in wine, say, for instance, from Europe to Napa Valley or Washington State?
Leonard promises to disclose any price bumps from tariffs to his customers. But when we asked other supermarket chains if they plan to do the same, none would comment. President Trump has posted that retailers should eat the tariffs. Rick Volpe is professor of agribusiness at Cal Poly.
Retailers are going to be very careful and cautious about increasing prices and advertising that.
Shoppers we spoke to say they want stores to be honest about tariffs.
I think we appreciate that because we want to be an informed consumer, and being able to budget and plan accordingly is helpful.
I don't think businesses should eat all the tariffs either. I mean,
I agree.
We should be aware of how these policies are affecting us on a day-to-day level.
Another tariff impacting food prices, the 50% levy on imported steel and aluminum, metals commonly used in grocery packaging. Experts say it could soon raise prices on dozens of products.
Packaged, processed, prepared foods that rely more heavily on storage. So, of course, we're talking about beverages, we're talking about canned foods, we're talking about foods that rely on foil or metal containers.
There is some good news. Because of reciprocal tariffs overseas, sales of some American foods like lobster have slowed, leading to higher supplies and lower prices.
We've lowered these lobster prices $1 each.
That's significant.
Yeah, so enjoy your lobster.
Another tip to avoid tariff price hikes, experts say stock up now on imported wine, spirits, and coffee, canned goods like sodas, and imported meat and seafood. Buy it fresh, and you can freeze it for up to several months. Good advice for consumers weary of paying more at the grocery store.
When you hear about tariffs, when you hear about price hikes, what do you think as a consumer?
I think at some point it needs to stop.
And to save money on groceries, also look for the specials at the supermarket. Shop those. Price compare between stores. You definitely have to go to more than one store if you're trying to maximize that budget. And stick to that shopping list. Try to resist those impulse buys as much as possible. Fun fact I just learned about you, Savannah. You don't like lobster.
It's a little sweet for me. Everyone loves lobster.
Love it.
I was just in Maine picking up the kids from camp. No lobster
Not
for
even
me.
a lobster roll?
But Mike made up for it. But yeah, I like how Stu he's just being transparent about it. Like he'll eat 10% of the tariffs.
Totally.
But above that, he
can't do it.
I'm done. And the prices are going to go up.
And even though everyone else wouldn't talk to us, you can pretty much expect they're going to follow suit. Whatever, this grocery chain is doing is going to spread wide. It'll be widespread.
I love that you went to Stu Leonard's too.
Yeah.
So did I, and I'm glad they spoke to us, and I appreciate their openness with the customers. And the customers appreciate that. They like to know what's coming, what to expect, and why prices are what they are.
Yeah. Do you like lobster?
I do love lobster.
Okay.
So as the shrimp prices go up, lobster prices go down.
Okay.
We'll shift.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Vic. Great tips.
You're
great
my
tips.
lobster. All right.
It's impacted our business because it's reduced the amount of volume of business that's out there.
Jeff Bowman is the CEO of Cocona Labs, which makes a compound used in fabric.
We have a technology called 37.5 technology. The purpose of it is to remove humidity from the microclimate next to your skin that helps you stay more comfortable in both warm and cold weather conditions. And it helps you operate at a peak performance. If you're an athlete, you can operate at peak performance longer. And what we do is we mine a mineral in the United States. Essentially, it's a volcanic sand. We convert that into what's called master batch, which is a concentration of that mineral that's then put into the spinning operations for things like nylon and polypropylene and polyester. They make filaments and yarns out of that. Those yarns and filaments are then made into fabrics. Those fabrics are made into clothing or bedding or footwear. And we make money by selling the master batch, which we make in the United States. Primarily, we export that because most yarn spinners are outside of the United States. And then we also license the technology to brands that use it. Sleep Number for bedding, the Men's Warehouse for clothing, Solomon for technical clothing. If they're hunters, they know First Light. So there's well over 100 brands that we license the technology to.
And that's a proprietary process?
It is. It's very difficult to take a water-loving mineral and put it into manufacturing operations that hate water. So we have patents on it and a ton of trade secrets. We're very cognizant of keeping those trade secrets secret.
The United States is the world's second largest exporter of textiles. It used to be first, employing 1.5 million workers. But now it employs only about 470,000, as China has risen to become the #1 producer.
We do have customers in the United States. Generally, the spinners outside the United States are more competitive from a price standpoint, and they've got more capacity, more infrastructure. Decades ago, most of that did reside in the United States. It eventually moved outside of the United States. China, at one point in time, decided that it was a strategic industry, so they worked with their business people to develop that infrastructure. And now that's primarily where most of it's done today. India is also a big export country for us as well.
The tariffs being imposed by the Trump administration affect a textile business like Cocona Labs, both in the cost of its raw products and, ironically, in its exports to places like China.
People are not placing orders because they're uncertain in terms of what the ultimate pricing is going to be. I spent all morning talking to my team about a business that we're working on right now with one of the largest hotel chains in the United States. They're looking to incorporate our technology in their bedding. And one of the questions that we're getting from our Chinese partners who would be spinning the yarn for that is how should they price the yarn based on the tariffs? And of course, that's a very difficult question for us to answer. We did export some product to China last week. We ate the tariff ourselves of about 16.5%. We actually ate 10% of that. Previously, there was 6.5% tariff in place already. So it's kind of a wait and see right now. But in the short term, it is reducing the amount of business that's out there. And it's reducing the amount of investment that people are willing to make in new products. Specific to us, because we're a small company that exports as opposed to imports, from China and India and those other places, the reciprocal tariffs also impact us. And when Trump first announced, the large tariffs on China, China retaliated with a 145% tariff. That would have been a killer for us. It would have killed our business. We just happened to have a bunch of our product in our Shanghai warehouse at the time. So within 36 hours, we were able to sell that to our customers, move it out of the warehouse, and that bought us a few months tariff-free. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with the tariffs. It impacts our business, in several ways. We're also trying to develop a domestic business in those countries. So this shirt is an example. It's a shirt made in China, and it's sold to Chinese customers. And when the price of the yarns increase, then it impacts the price of the finished products, and it impacts our business.
They charge us, we charge them.
In pursuing his approach to tariffs, President Trump has said again and again, one of his main goals is to bring manufacturing back on shore in the United States. Would that work out that way in your business?
No, definitely not. You'd have to cut and sew this garment or bedding or any other garment. You'd have to make that garment in the United States. And people just don't want those jobs, number one. And number two, the cost of labor here is so much higher that the price of those goods would dramatically increase if they're made in the United States. So it would make everything much more expensive. Even the deal with Vietnam is a case in point. I don't think most people understand that those goods coming into the United States already had a tariff on them. In the case of clothing coming from Vietnam, as an example, there was a 16.5% tariff before Trump. With the additional 20% that was just negotiated, that means that there's a 36.5% tariff on apparel now coming into the United States from Vietnam. Some of that's going to get passed on. There's no question about it. So the price of goods will go up. With the increase in the price of goods, the amount of business will go down. Trump and I both went to the same business school, Wharton. And apparently he didn't take the tariff class because certainly the teachings and the empirical history shows that when you impose tariff, the net effect is that you reduce the amount of business that takes place. And we're seeing that happen already. Costs go up, consumers pay the price eventually, and there's just less business being conducted.
Whatever proves out from President Trump's tariffs, at this point it appears there are going to be tariffs. We already see 15% effective, and in some places it could be higher than that. So assuming that happens, let's assume for a moment it's 15 to 20% effective tariff. What do you do to change your business to make sure it's still a good business, it's viable?
Well, what we have been doing is, number one, making sure that our customers have options. So we ship master batch around the world. We ship it to Turkey, we ship it to India, Taiwan, China, Korea, etc., making sure that they have options so that so we can mitigate the tariffs, hopefully, in any one country. That's the first thing that we're doing. And second is, we're looking at, in some cases, potentially moving some of our manufacturing out of the United States into China, something that we're loath to do, just to reduce the reciprocal tariffs that are being placed on our goods. Ultimately it will help with the cost of goods coming back to the United States. It'll certainly help even more with the goods that are being sold into those countries. We're worried about tariffs. Candidly, we shipped a master batch to China 2 weeks ago. We paid 16.5% tariff on it. We ate 10% of that. That's not sustainable for us long term. We'd have to raise our prices. When we raise our prices, it will ultimately affect the amount of volume that's being sold. So it's not good.
How elastic or inelastic is that demand for your product? What pricing power do you have to pass along some or all of those increases?
We have to pass on some, otherwise we'll go out of business. And there's that trade-off. And that's, in fact, what I was talking about this morning. Our Chinese partners are trying to figure out how to price their yarn for this very large hotel chain opportunity. And they want to know how to account for the tariffs. And we don't have an answer for them, candidly, other than to tell them that we're not going to eat that tariff. We may eat a portion of it. I think we're waiting to see what ultimately happens. and what the tariffs actually end up being. And then we'll adjust accordingly as best we can. There will be collaboration, I'm sure, throughout the supply chain. Ultimately, you'll see higher prices at the consumer level.
And if, in fact, these tariffs continue, what's going to happen to your employment situation?
In general, we don't lay anybody off. We were actually voted one of the top 50 small companies in the United States to work for last year. So, we value our employees greatly and try to hold on to them, definitely. During COVID, everybody took a pay cut for a period of time, just so that we could survive. So we'll do what we have to do to survive. We'll do what we have to do to hold on to our employees. Ideally, we'll do what we have to do to continue manufacturing in the United States. We're very adaptable.
As difficult as the tariffs may be for Casanova Labs business, Bowman does believe they deserve to have a role in economic policy, just not quite as broad a role as they are being given.
If you got to sit down with your fellow Wharton graduate in the White House and give him a piece of your mind about what he should be doing, what would you advise him?
Well, I think tariffs are a strategic tool. I think if they're used surgically, they can help. I think broad brush tariffs don't work, in my opinion, so I would encourage him to be surgical about it. We're a small American company trying to do business in China, where historically there has been very little tariff of our goods going into China. It's still very difficult to do business in China because of the non-tariff barriers to doing business. Things like the banking laws and the marketing laws and the administrative issues that you have to deal with on a daily basis. And it's not clear to me that this tariff war that we're in is going to impact any of that. All I see happening is that we're going to increase the price of goods coming into the United States. We're not going to address the fundamental issues that are making it difficult for companies like mine to do business in places like China. And that's those non-tariff barriers to doing business.
Whether it's to break down barriers to U.S. exports or to discourage production abroad, one of President Trump's main goals is increasing U.S. manufacturing overall, something special contributor Larry Summers of Harvard says tariffs will not accomplish.
This isn't a debate about whether manufacturing is important or not. That's an important debate to have as we go forward. But even if you take as given the central importance of cutting-edge manufacturing, taxing inputs, alienating partners, and enraging those who control the external markets can't possibly be the right strategy for rebuilding American manufacturers.
Exactly.
Look, take another way of looking at this. We think of automobiles as like a traditional industry that we're trying to protect in a good way. But this is slashing General Motors' profits. This is slashing, all the automobile companies are complaining about our tariff policies because what they mean for integrated production in North America. So even for the people who were the traditional constituency for this kind of policy, they're not seeing it as a positive. So this is not some debate between the coastal people who like finance and movies as businesses and the people in the middle of the country who are focused on the heartland of manufacturing. Even if you just look at what you're doing for the heartland of manufacturing, higher priced inputs, much more uncertainty for investors, and alienating of customers can't be the right strategy. There's a winner here. There really is a winner here in the strategy that we are pursuing. His name is Xi Jinping, and I hope we'll stop.
All right, ladies and gents, as we watch together these 3 videos right here, I gotta know, I was making some notes to give you my 2 cents about what I think. By the way, ladies and gents, this wine make you feel very, very nice. Love it, love it, love it. Once again, I recommend it. This Pink Moscato for everybody. Not only one for the ladies, for everybody. All right? All right, so let me take my glass off real quick so I can read you. First of all, ladies and gents, when the Trump say all this stuff about the tariffs and this and that that's going to happen, first of all, I personally do not believe in one word that man said. Did he say that he will finish the war and on the first day? Did he say that Mexico would pay for the wall? And so many lies that he said. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about making a video, a podcast episode related to all the things that Trump said that, oh, I did not know. I did not know this. Something happened when they have the porn star. Oh, I did not know. Trump did that something happened. Oh, I did not know. Oh, I did not know. He never knows anything. For somebody that's the president of the United States, that's the one to give the most information about everything in this country and in the world, he always say something that's going to contradict what he said before, or is going to catch him on a lie or some shit like that. The first thing they say, I don't know anything about that. Oh, I did not. Michael Cohen. We talk about Michael Cohen. Oh, I did not know Michael Cohen. I do not know this person. Epstein. Oh, he hang out on his island many times. There's videos back in the 90s. Or where he was doing all his stuff. But, oh, I do not know. I never know. You know what? Trump sounds like Peter after they caught Jesus. And then Peter say, oh, I'll never deny you. And the Lord says, before the rooster sings or makes some noise or whatever, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter say, oh, that's Peter that walked with Jesus. Oh, I didn't know Jesus. I never heard of them. Never. This Trump is Peter after Jesus got caught and was about to be crucified. He denies, and say that he never knew anything about her. He never said anything about her, never heard about it, none of that. So, like I say, everything that this man says, I do not believe because it's nothing but lies. All right, so another thing too, how long will the companies, quote unquote, eat the tariffs like Trump posted on his social media, the truth or whatever it is? I don't follow his ass anyway on that social media. But how long? Because it's going to get a point, ladies and gents, because at the end of the day, business needs a profit in order to survive, in order to pay its employees, in order to continue business to the suppliers, and that they need to profit. Without profit, they cannot survive. They cannot fulfill the obligation that they have, once again, with the suppliers, that they have with the employees, the light bill, some places like, rent a building to pay for their rent. You know what I'm saying? It gets to the point. That's how much you can tell, like Mr. Stu Leonard, and I kudos to this man that he's being 100% honest. In my personal opinion, if I have any grocery store or anything else, like Mrs. Stu states, I'll make an official letter on my website, and I'll put on every store right on the entrance, right by the customer service, the reason what's going on with this tariffs and the reason that the cost is going to increase is because now I used to spend to purchase, I'm going to give an example, this bottle of wine. I used to pay Papi or the distributor $1 for this bottle of wine, so I could sell to you for $5. Now I have to pay the same distributor due to the tariff Now I got to pay $4. So I have to, so much I can eat. I may eat on the first month, or maybe on the second, maybe on the third month. But it's going to get you the point, ladies and gents, that cost of the wine bottle that I'm still paying $4 for the distributor, now I got it to sell to $12. So I can retract and recoup the money that quote unquote I ate the tariff in order to keep the business. But like I say, if I can continue in the tariff, what's going to happen? I'll be out of business. It's common sense. It is common sense. For this story, for the people that believe that all the tariff is going to be the country is nothing but stupid, and this is now that was nothing but lie. Another one from Trump, because who gets the product is the one that pay for tariffs, not the country. Make this clear, ladies and gents. And like I said, I want to give kudos to on the third video that Mr. from the Coconuts lab, that the gentleman tried to keep this employee, keep the business possible, and keep his employees. Because, all right, there's difference on different leadership. Okay, my style of leadership and the thing that I learned comes from the Army, because the Army has one thing is called the Army values. And one thing is about one thing that's on the Army values, that you, as a leader, you should take care of your subordinates. That means you will do everything that you can to provide everything that your subordinates need in order for them to accomplish the mission. Do they need the food? Do they need the uniform? They need the boots? They need the radios? Whatever. You need to work on the chain of command to provide that so they can accomplish the mission and make sure that their families are also taken care of before they get deployed. Okay, let's make sure their bank account, everything's taken care of it. So while you're deployed or in the mission, your wife, your kids, everything's taken care of as far as the home. The bills are paid. There's a food on the table. The wife can take care of the kids, take to school. Then car payments not behind, insurance, all that. That's like the leadership. If you take care of the employees or your subordinates, the subordinates are going to take care of the mission. A lot of main problems that I see on nowadays CEO leadership, because all they care about is the money in the pocket and take care of the shareholders. And they forget that the foundation of that business are the employees. If you take care of the employees, if you set the standards and take care of the employees, trust and believe me, the employees are going to hold on the fort, they hold on to business, and they're going to make your business thrive. Because they're going to see that you, as the employee, make sure that you value them. Once they know that, they're not going to be late. They're going to do their job. They're going to make sure that if they had trained somebody, they're going to hold on to the standards, because they know that such and such take good care of them. Now they are paid well, they have all the benefits, the family is taking care of it, they are able to go on vacation, have a good time with their family on their free times, on their vacations. And once again, there's a lot of CEOs that the first thing they can do is cut. The first people that go are their employees. And that's the problem. So, ladies and gents, it is affecting a lot of people. I trust and believe, in my personal opinion, it's going to be worse. There was some embrace for impact. You can't say, Casanova being so negative to investment. No, I'm just talking about the reality. Because the cost of living is not going lower. Cost of housing, cost of gas on your vehicle, cost for you to come back and forth to home and work. More gas in your car. The price of gas keeps fluctuating up and down, up and down, up and down. The cost of food, like I said, go to the grocery store. Don't trust me, you can watch other videos and you're going to see that the cost of food is simply ridiculous. back in, I would say 2-3 years ago, you could have as a single man or a single person, you could go and have a $200. You can afford at least for groceries for you or for yourself, eating decently. Now, just have some decent food in your kitchen for at least you for until the next paycheck. Right now, $200, you don't have a half of a grocery cart. People think about it. The people that has no family, that have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids in the house. There are some people like that, and they are working from paycheck for paycheck. Do you understand what I'm saying, ladies and gents? So all I'm going to say is embrace for impact, because in my personal opinion, I don't see nothing good that's going to favor the populace. It's going to favor every middle class, the average Joe, like you and I. Now, if you're a millionaire, you will want more than that. You want more than tax cuts because it's going to benefit you, and you're going to be bowling. But the average, the majority of Americans are struggling, and they're going to struggle even more as long as this man is still in the White House, and as long the Republicans are put their hands on everything, because all they care, what I said before, I'm going to say as long as I live, that they just care about their own pocket, their own agenda to keep themselves in power and have more money in their pocket. Meanwhile, you and I are suffering, paying all the bills. How am I going to pay? Rob Paul to pay Peter. Got to juggle which bill is going to be paid this month. Basically, bills are housing, food, electricity. If you have a car, your car payment, and your insurance. Basically, that's your basic bill. Anything else is like, you roll the dice and see who's going to be paid, that you can have a little bit of money to pay. And then have sometimes $50, $100, or even zero until your next paycheck to do this all over again. Do you understand what I'm saying, ladies and gents? So, I'm going to close like this. I hope you enjoyed this video today, this episode, ladies and gents, season 11, episode 3. So, if you like what I do, ladies and gents, please do me a favor. Click on this like button, subscribe, and send this video or any other video that we see on my YouTube channel to at least 5 people. Now, if you want to see other work and other episodes that I have recorded since 2020, you can go to Spotify, or you can go to any major platform that you can, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You're going to see all my work. On here on YouTube, you're going to see some of them, because I started my YouTube channel maybe 2 or 3 years after I started doing my recording on the regular podcast platform. Okay? So please be safe, be kind, and be blessed. And do the best of what you can do with what you got. Salute. And I'll see you next Saturday with another awesome podcast episode. Holla!
the top. Coming with the pull up for the #1 spot. Pushing my rap like the push out on the block. Holding my down, sucker rappers get lost. Coming from the bottom, moving straight to the top. Coming with the